Hey guys, as you probably know, the newest addition to the Toyota TRD Pro family is over my right shoulder. Yep, it's the Sequoia TRD Pro, and over my left shoulder, that's the 4Runner TRD Pro. Now in this video, we're going to kind of go between the two and see what you get when you go from the baby TRD Pro to the big boy TRD Pro, and that is coming up right now. One of the biggest differences, of course, between the 4Runner and the Sequoia is right here. Not the tow hitch, but how much it tows. The 4Runner, that'll tow 5,000 pounds. If you want to tow maybe a bigger boat, a bigger horse trailer, you're going to have to go with the Sequoia because that one tows 7,100 pounds. Toyota's been kind enough to set up two different courses, and I'm used to skiing, so black is a hard one, but here it's red for some reason, and green is the easy one. Now with this 4Runner, I can go on the harder course, the red course, so that's what we're going to do. And then the Sequoia, we're going to have to tackle the little bit less tricky green course. Alright, let's see how the 4Runner does. I always feel like that's a little rolly, but the vehicle is always more capable than my built-in buck meter tells me, so it does really well, and you can really feel it working here. I'm using my foot, I'm not using any of the technology because I like using my foot, I like the challenge of it, and immediately you have a sense of a lot of capability, a lot of ground clearance, good approach angle, good departure angle, lots of protection underneath. This is certainly the dedicated off-roader. For this part of the video, I've also gotten the new green 4Runner, so you can tell that of course you can get both in green. But let's talk about engines. Of course, this is the older, venerable, well they're both older, 4-liter, puts out 278 horsepower, and perhaps the biggest chink in the 4Runner's armor is the fact that it only has 5 gears. Whereas the Sequoia with the 5.7-liter, 381 horsepower, and a 6-speed automatic. If you want more power, get that one. If you want fewer gears, get this one. So the biggest difference I can tell immediately between the 4Runner and the Sequoia is you're kind of comparing, well, I'm going to go there. I'm going to say a long distance runner to potentially a sumo wrestler, with the 4Runner being the long distance runner, being small and thin and agile, and of course the Sequoia being the sumo wrestler. Now having said that, the Sequoia is surprisingly good off-road. It gives you a better ride because it's got a longer wheelbase, it doesn't beat you up as much, and let's face it, if we didn't have those side steps, this could take on the same more difficult course the Toyota set up for the 4Runner. So if you love levers, you're going to love the 4Runner because this is old school 4-wheel drive. You push it forward, put in 4-wheel drive. Then of course up here you have the magic rear locker. No front locker, so if you're comparing this to a Jeep, you're probably not going to be perfectly equal, at least not a Rubicon, because that also has a front locker and disconnectable sway bars. But you do instead have all of this magic, which is of course A-Track, Toyota's terrain management control, so you can set the kind of terrain you're going to be in, and then of course you can also set the speed of your uphill or downhill descent, and it makes off-roading relatively painless. Now of course this is a much more, I'm going to call it modern, if you can say that, interior in the 4Runner. It just feels a little bit more youthful than the Sequoia. It was more recently updated, but in general, if you love Toyota styling, you're going to love this. You do have 2-zone climate control. You don't have climate control here in the back. But you do have now Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Amazon Alexa that you can pump through here. You have one USB port, and get this, you have heated front, passenger, and driver seats. All in all, it's a much smaller, much more compact, much more, let's say, off-road worthy setup because you've got a lot more off-road worthy toys to play with, and it also gets much better fuel economy. 18 combined, which is actually really good for this relatively old 4-liter whereas in the Sequoia, you're at 14 combined. So a lot thirstier, but a lot bigger as well. Now here we've got a little bit of mud, so I think we're going to want a little bit of momentum to get through here. Stay in the ruts and hopefully not get stuck. So let me put the camera on so you can see it. Stay in the ruts, come through, no problem. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I was a little nervous. I don't want to be the guy that gets called out for getting the 4Runner stuck, but I shouldn't have worried. Now, as always, I'm sitting behind myself in the 4Runner, and yeah, the situation back here is a lot tighter. You know, less headspace, less shoulder room, certainly less leg room, a good amount of back seat room. I mean, you know, you could put a lot back there, but of course you don't have that third row. I just hit my glasses, that's how tight it is. Keep in mind, I am 6'2", and this scallop group does help a little bit, but man, it is tight back here. So unlike the 4Runner, another great benefit of the Sequoia is right here. Yep, it's my own zone of climate. So there are 3 zones. There's one for the driver, one for the passenger, and one for me back here. If you're overlanding and you're bringing your family along, they're gonna like the back seat of the Sequoia a lot more. And perhaps the biggest measure is, of course, legroom. So once again, as always, I'm sitting behind myself in the Sequoia. There is my legroom. Look at that. I mean, it's a truck, you know. I've got tons of room. I've got okay headroom, you know, not grand. Let's get in the back here. In the middle, look at that. It's all peaches and cream, but if I sit behind myself, it gets a little tighter, but it's not horrible, you know. If I wasn't 6'2" and well over 200 pounds, I think I could actually live back here. And this one might actually be the, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, now that is luxury. If you were seriously considering going around the world, which one would I take? I would take the Sequoia all day long. Not only do you have more room, but you've got more capability up on the roof, and you've got more towing capacity. Because let's face it, the 4Runner may be more of a dedicated rock crawler, whereas this is more of a dedicated overlander. Plus, this 5.7 liter under the hood is by far one of the best engines that we have ever tested. It's been around a long time, puts out tons of power, just a really stout, long-lived, and torquey engine. With the only downside that I can see is that it is thirsty. So you get a lot of power, you get a lot of longevity, but you also get a lot of thirst. And I've just forgotten how crazy capable this guy is off-road. It's such a great platform. I see why Toyota takes forever to update them. There's a lot to be said for kind of slow, incremental changes. Oh, look at that, I'm stuck. Who would have thunk I got stuck? I am definitely stuck. So let's see here. Let's see what that does. That locks the rear locker. Let's see if that helps. There we go. Rear locker blinking. Come on, you can lock. Still stuck. Look at that articulation, huh? Whoa! No wonder I'm stuck. I mean, look at this articulation, guys. So this wheel completely compressed. I mean, the suspension is completely compressed, and this wheel, look, completely up in the air. So without lockers, what's probably happening is this is spinning and that one isn't. Rear locker locked, so maybe I don't even need 8 tracks. Maybe just locking the rear locker is enough. Nope, still stuck. Still stuck. All right, let's pick mutton ruts on. Let's pick the speed. Come on. Now I've got 8 tracks working. Look at that. That's what's impressive about Toyota. Right? Oh, stuck again. Come on. And unstuck again. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, the tech works. How cool is that? And I guess at the end of the day, that's the biggest difference between this truck, speed it up a little bit, and the Sequoia, right? This has just a lot more built-in off-road goodness. So let's go over the major differences and similarities between these two TRD Pros, including the price, of course. So if you want the more off-road worthy TRD Pro, go for the 4Runner. It's got the locking center and rear diff. It of course is smaller, more nimble, higher ground clearance. But if you need to tow or you need to seat 6 or 7 in this case, then definitely go for the Sequoia. Now, all that extra towing and seating capacity is going to cost you a little bit more. So the 4Runner, about $50K out the door. The Sequoia, about $65K. So we're talking a $15,000 difference, but you get more truck when you pay for more truck. So if you're jonesing for a Toyota TRD Pro 4Runner or a Sequoia, well, they're available now at your local Toyota dealership. And the coolest thing, at least in my book, is that they both now come with the TRD exhaust. And these two trucks do sound really cool. Always, Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Car, or is it truck? I guess it's both. Check out TFL Car and TFLTruck.com for more news, views, and of course, Sequoia versus 4Runner TRD Pro reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.